Hi there, welcome to my short presentation on how to present and organise your work for BTEC Business course and why it is so important. So why actually is it so important and the way you present your work and organise your work? Well, you should take pride in your work. You've signed up to a course like a BTEC Business course and you're completing work, so you should take pride in it and want it to look presentable, and this short video will show you and help you how to do that. It's learning good practice basically for university and beyond, because when and if you go to university you'll be expected to do and have certain presentation skills, and of course out in the world of work you'll be expected to maybe present reports and other things, and it's all about the presentation. So it also does demonstrate your professional ability to be able to produce documents to sort of universal standard, if you like. And as I just said, it is all about the presentation, making sure that it looks presentable. If it looks presentable, it indicates that it's going to be a good piece of work. And then finally, of course, your teachers and examiners will love it as well, because they will look at a quality piece of work and it's going to be very presentable and look professional. So make sure you're doing that. So one of the first things that you should do when you start your BTEC business course is to organise your work, and you can do that by having folders. Now, the majority of the time these days we work with technology, so you need to create your folders on a PC, maybe on a Chromebook, on Google Drive. Just depends on where you're going to be saving your work, but to have it organised is essential so that you can find your work easily and quickly. So I would suggest the kind of following folder structure for a BTEC Business Extended Certificate to look something like this. So you have your BTEC Business folder, and then within inside the BTEC Business folder, I would have 4 subfolders like so, and I would label them with the units that I'm studying. So Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3 probably, and maybe Unit 8. Okay, so that's how I would have my work, and then I would, as I do the work, I would save the work into the correct folder, and that way if I'm doing some work on Unit 2 and then I need to find my work on Unit 2 a week or so later, I can just go straight into my Unit 2 folder and there it will be. So make sure that you save and organize your work into the correct folders by having a folder structure. So another common problem that I've noticed in the classroom is file names. So file names are very important. A lot of the time we'll open up a Google Doc, for example, do some work on the Google Doc, shut the Chromebook, and then hope and pray that it will be there when we come back at the next lesson. And likely it is, of course, but what we really recommend is that you save your work with a good file name so that you can remember it and find it more easily. So for example, that one is just called untitled document. Likely you possibly would have quite a few of those if you're the sort of person that just walks away, doesn't give it a sensible file name, and just hope that you're going to find it in your next lesson and so forth. You've got to be a little bit more organized, particularly on BTEC courses, because you want to be able to find the correct work quickly so you can carry on with it. And leaving it with a sort of poor file name like that means that it's going to be difficult to find at your next lesson. So make it easier to yourself just by clicking in that box and giving it a sensible file name. So for example, you could change it to that, and that is Unit 1 Learning Aim A, and then my name. So that's just a little tip for you, just to make sure. And the better the file name, the easier it is to find at another point in time. Okay. The other thing that you can do once you've named your file is you can actually move the document by clicking on that little icon. So I'm currently in, like I say, Google Docs. So this is how you do it in Google Docs. But if you click on this little icon, you can then move your work into one of those suggested folders that I came up with in my previous slide. So when you've done the work and you've given it a sensible file name, you can then move it into the correct folder, and then when you come back you'll be able to find it by going into that folder and opening it again because you've given it a sensible file name. All makes sense, it's nice and easy to do, and good practice to get into. So if you're working in Google Docs, I've got just a couple of basic presentation ideas for you, and it kind of looks a little bit like this. So if you're working in a Google Doc, it's always good to get into the practice of using headers and footers. And to get to a header, you would just double click in the top area of the page, and then you can write what you like in there, but I'm just putting a name in there, so Simon, and then Learning Aim A, Unit 1, and then I'm writing what the name of the unit is. In this case, it's Introduction to Business. Now, you may know this already, you may not, but if you put this in the header and then you start working on page 2, what the computer does, it puts that information at the top of page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and so forth. So it will always appear at the top. And this is really useful, particularly if you end up printing out your work and things like that. It's always good as well to have a heading at the top to indicate to your teacher and to any moderators that this is the piece of work that you're working on, and then having a little subheading there like A.P1, which is obviously the pass criteria 1 for unit 1, and then just the name of what that P1 is also a nice way of sort of starting your work. So try to get into the practice of using headers and footers, and then headings and subheadings as well. And that's the footer. Down at the bottom, you can do things like double click at the bottom, it will open the footer, and then you can put in things like page numbers, dates, other information as well. So really good practice, particularly on presenting BTEC work, if you use headers, footers, headings and subheadings. So continuing on with just some presentation ideas just to help you with your work. One of the things that you can do is this. So here it is, my finished first page, and doesn't it look fantastic in comparison to perhaps work you have produced previously? There you go, you've got your header there, and that, like I say, that will appear on every single page. You've got your main heading telling the examiner and teacher what the work is about. You've got your subheading, and then you've got your main body of your text that's been justified, so it's straight on both sides, and it looks fantastic, doesn't it? Then also I've got the footer there at the bottom of the page, and also I'm now going to show you this section, which is also a nice fancy way of showing the examiner what sources you have used within your work. So you can see at the bottom here, this is just what we call a footnote. What you do, you would click at the end of your work, so you can possibly see a little tiny 1 at the end of paragraph 1 here, and all you do is you go to insert footnote and you add the source where you've got this information from. Now I've made these sources up, so I've pretended I've got this from the Pearson website, and then you can see at the end of paragraph 2, hopefully you can see a tiny little 2 and a 2 at the bottom of the screen here, and that's saying this particular information is from the BBC website, for example. Of course it's not, but I'm just demonstrating what it could look like. Now hopefully you can see that this is a beautifully presented piece of work, and this is the kind of expectation that your teachers will have when you're doing your BTEC coursework. And the sooner you kind of get into this practice of presenting your work in this way, the better it will be, and the more presentable, and the more that you will tend to love and be proud of the work that you're completing. So follow these ideas to make sure that your work is professional. Okay, that is it. That was a short video on your presentation and organisation of your folders for a BTEC Business course. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I do regular videos for BTEC Business and A-Level Business. Thank you for watching.